Hello everyone. With the continuation of the reviewing your Fall Guys map episodes, here is actually episode 2, but however, before we do start on episode 2, I will be showing you the summarized thoughts on all the maps that was reviewed in episode 1. So I will leave about 10 seconds per image on the thing for you guys to see what I thought of the map, and then the final rating and the thumbnail if possible. And the second map, the third map, the fourth one, and the last map, okay, so with the summary that is shown for you of the maps episode 1, I will now be heading over to start the review of the maps for this episode. See you guys in a bit. Alright, so the first map that we have for today is Rainbow Rapids. So let's see what this map has. Just a little quick information that in this episode, all the maps is locked here with the exception of one has been created or last updated in the 4 Forever update. So let's get into it. So Rainbow Rapids, I think quite a standard map to look through. Quickly just looking through the background of it, I think not much to say about the map. And obviously I have some skill issue. But then when you are talking about the gameplay itself, I think it's not too much of a complication. And I think I remember what you're supposed to do with this map is to do this. There we go. That is also not what you're supposed to do. So obviously I think there are some potential difficulty spikes in the first area itself. However, as you notice what I'm actually doing, there is another area for navigation. So a little bit of shortcut that not really harms the map too much, as I think there might be too much of a difficulty spike. And that is not right. So of course I think with what you guys are seeing here from my gameplay is that the conveyor speed might be a little too fast to work against. So we finally made it past the first checkpoint after... Oh, I don't think I was meant to go here. Wasn't expecting that I could fall through there. I think this is much more of a higher difficulty spike level, but it is not too difficult to the point that it will frustrate players, but of course my standard case of skill issue is happening. So finally making some progress, we see some other obstacles here. So we do see some of these bouncy mounts as well, or I think they're called the padded mounts. So I think these last parts might be a little bit much more complicated. And as I just lead myself to the finish line, and that would be the first map for today. Alright, so heading over to the analysis of the map itself with my reviewing, I think obviously this map is much more of a higher difficulty spike. And to really just easily speak of, it wouldn't be too complicated to say like normal players won't be able to clear it, but obviously I think they'll take more time to be able to do so. So I think it's overall well balanced, but the difficulty does slightly bring it down a little. So in quick short essence, I will just give this map a A rating. If maybe some parts were a little bit tuned down, yes, I do understand that it does fit the theme of it being in a sense of saying the map being a rapid tile map where it's gonna go fast and everything. So that is what I feel this map is. Obviously, quite a number of areas in the map have rainbows in them, so you are sticking to the map theme, so I'm not too worried about it. So I would just say for now, this map should be getting an A rating, and let's move on to the second map for today. Alright, so for the second map for today, we do actually have Cosmic Pipe, and this is the map that is actually also updated in the 4th level update. So looking through itself, we are technically in space. I do see the existence of 2 different start lines, and I don't mean to dive off the map, I meant to stand on the sphere for some background amusement. So I think with all the planets, you are trying to represent the cosmic level of this map, and that can be seen. I did see some sticker layering issues, but I think that might be due to the more precedent of the sticker bug that the game has. So far, gameplay seems well balanced. Obstacles haven't seemed to be too repetitive, but this area has quite a number of flippers, but the flippers are actually used for progression more than repetition. So two different paths that eventually converge into one. So let's see what I have to say about this map in more detail. Okay, so this is the second course map I have for today, which I think most of these maps are much more cost-based. But to easily just speak of it, the obstacles, as per mentioned when I was doing the gameplay, is a little bit more of the repetitive side, but more towards the aid for progression. So I am not too much worried about this at all. Then I think the map is still simple enough. The aesthetics I think could definitely use some work, of course, but I think as per the 4 Forever update, there wasn't really much budget to work around it, and I couldn't really much remember about the amount of things that is possible back in the 4 Forever update, as I'm just trying to remember through memory. But by then, let me just quickly take a look. But during the 4 Forever update, you would already have 2,000 budget, and I think just by a quick estimation of the budget that is used for this map, I think really aesthetics can be worked on, so that is definitely something I'm looking at. So this map itself, I will give a B, and I think that should be the final rating unless I see any other parts that can prove to cause some additions. But with that, we will move on to the third map for today. Alright, so the third map for today we have is called Pleasure Place. Again, updated in the last updated in the 4 Forever update, so you do have access to 2,000 budget. So right instantly, I think we see some door dashes, and so we have, oops, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7 doors that are openable. Wonder at that point if the creator didn't notice this was at 6 instead of 7. Oops, that is not meant to be a bar yeet, but I see this is definitely some usage of the rotation controller. Things obstacle placements can do a little bit better. Not sure the intention of this boom blaster. And let's see, where are we supposed to go from here? Or is the boom blaster the way to go? Yep, that was indeed the case. Let me go take a look around here. Okay, so it is not very clear on some aspects, which I will get to this later. Oh my goodness, that was actually quite the fall. Okay, so that's a rather short map to speak of, but I do have some thoughts about this map, as we will quickly talk about them. Okay, so this third map itself, I think from the thumbnail, I could already see that it was a short map, but obviously I wasn't thinking as much into these deep amounts of everything. But some thoughts is that the obstacles are a little bit more repetitive. There isn't really a full-scale kind of obvious angle as to like how one should move around and everything. So that's much all else I can really say about this map. Direct rating that I'm gonna give, I think I have to give this really a B rating and everything. Not too much to say. It is still decent playable, some guiding hints here and there, some well-placed usage of obstacles to not put it down into the C tier, but that is all I can really say for it. With that, let's move on to the fourth map, and this map was just recently updated. Alright, so the fourth map we have is Mad Lab, and this map, as for those of you who don't really watch every single second of it, is actually just recently updated, so I will be looking at it a little bit more harshly, as you do have up to 2,500 budget, and that's really a safety point over here, as players may not be able to balance on this laboratory equipment. And that was really only the safety angle, which I'm okay with. Not too much to say about that. And that's a checkpoint and another safety area for not to let players instantly fall off. Oops, that is definitely more look like a sticker. Or a non-colligible cloud, although I do see some platforms that are hidden in them. Alright, so the microscope, as I think you can see the movement of the particles, so that's definitely something. The microscope being used in action. All the test samples to speak of. So how lenient is this? So notice that right now I'm currently absolutely standing on thin air, so which means that even if players have some horrible sense of balance like I do, because I have to hold my hands out to let my bean balance, that's not too much of an issue. So some clear arrow guides. And again, the same thing where a lot of players might have issue with previously, and I think this is really addressed fully when it comes to like certain parts where you might face some troubles. I think this was really well thought out, and it prevents the players from getting too frustrated at a simple creative map. And most of this is just simple platforming. And I wasn't exactly sure that I was able to jump up there, to be honest. But that was just me being desperate. And this is an entire obstacle blockage, but you can see all the aesthetics, they're all blocks that are invisible. So we're gonna quickly zip by the mad scientists and heading to the exit door, which I will show you that there is the finish line as you qualify. So now, quite a number of thoughts to speak of, let's get into it. Okay, this map is really a lot to talk about. First off, a lot of safety platforms do not let players get irritated. But what I mean is they are invisible blocks that doesn't take away from the scenery of the map itself. That's definitely some points that is given ahead of things. Then you also have the decorations of the map itself, the aesthetics that make it look like a real laboratory. And with the fact that you can go up to 2,500 budget due to the last update of this map, you are looking at all these small little details that help players have a smooth experience in learning through the map. Sure, there are points that I think it's something to work around, but I think for most of this map itself, it is created to the point where there isn't any issue with them. So this map gets an S rank. I will review it a little bit deeper and it might possibly go to an S plus rank. If I do actually have one, which yes I do have an S plus rank. And I think I just basically revealed that I absolutely am terrible at remembering my own rankings because I don't even remember whether I have an S plus rank. But that's it. I will move on to the last and final map for today. Now, the fifth and final map for today, we have Rock, Flag, and Eagle. Now, note that obviously I'm not too much of a United States person, so I may have some less knowledge about the representation of this map itself, but I think much more normally is not too much of an issue when it comes to such things. The movement, I think for the map is still obvious enough to work with. And I think we have our first issue. Or I think no, never mind. I figured out what we're supposed to do. Okay, so this rotation controller is actually very well used because you are allowing players to much more have a enhanced obstacle site planning while they are still rotating around. So they need to find out where to go to reach the right spots. These two intersecting windmills eventually cover the whole circle, so it's kind of a safety barrier. Some bullet bouncing to grant some things, and I think moving left or right, not too much of an issue here. And that is unfortunately not how I'm supposed to go. And there we go. Now this is much more enhanced platforming, and I nearly just caused myself to take a respawn. That is some incredible sliding logic. That's it, some sliding over here once again. Okay, so not much to say about this map, and I will quickly explain why. Alright, so this map itself, of course, we are not talking about too much of a possible aspects of like aesthetics and everything because it's too simple enough, and I think this is just more of a simple showcase map of like a fun area to it. But other than that, it's not really something I would say too much of. Still some things I can definitely work around in terms of like all the creative aspects. So still simple enough gameplay. It's actually much more of a linear map when you think about it because it's not like multiple paths that will eventually converge and everything. So that's definitely something. So with that being said, I will give this map a B rank. Nothing more, nothing less, and that's really all I have for this actual episode. So to those who actually watch every single second of it, you would notice that there are some lots of cuts and everything, and I do try my best to cut it down, of course, but that's all I can really say. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode where I review the next 5 maps, and as well as some bonus maps if my time permits, definitely. So, look forward to that. And just to really end off, let's do one little emote. So, not this one.